eRacing Grand Prix back on your screens once again. It's round 2 of the 6-race third edition of eRacing GP, all American circuits. It's the brainchild of Alex Young, or that way, isn't it? Alex Young alongside me, Des Corkill. We've got 4 races coming your way this afternoon. We've got the amateurs, in inverted commas, a copper class, the bronze, the silver, and the creme de la creme, the gold. But there is an opportunity to make your way through. Just to explain a little bit about what we mean, here are the 4 championship leaders in the 4 categories. The man there to be beaten is Alif Hamilton. The Singaporean is top of the pile in gold class, but it's very early in the season. His relative, I think it's his cousin, Jin Madsvilton, is top of the pile in the silver class. Felix Young from Hong Kong leads the way in the bronze edition. And our first race will be dealing with the copper class. And Sri Murugan, the young Malaysian, is the man who is leading the way. Alex, you've introduced the 4 classes, and you've done it for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, because we have drivers, real-life drivers and sim drivers of varying degrees joining eRacing GP right now. We have to put them in the right situation. You've got some real beginners in copper class, and of course you've got the pros in the gold class. And we've got a lot of real-life drivers jumping on the sims for the first time as well. So they also have to... They can't jump to the gold class because their racecraft is just not quite there yet. And they end up hitting a lot of drivers. So you need to work your way through the different classes before you're ready for gold.
Well, we've got a whole afternoon of racing coming your way. It's 6 races in all in the 4 categories. Let's start off though with the copper group. And results from week 1, they carry over obviously into week 2 because we've got a championship. Here's how the standings are after week 1. Man at the top of the pile is Sri Murugan, a 30-point weekend, but Vietnam's Peter de Trois just a point behind him. And then the Filipino duo of Junelli Cruz and Zetric Arate, they are also in there as well. It's very much an international class that you've got out there with Tiago Oliveira. Look out for him because he drove pretty well last week and could well be one to watch this weekend.
So now we have the Nations Cup. It's new to the series we're doing now with the Nations Cup and Teams Cup, where drivers in the top 2 of their class score points for, say, if you're for Philippines or if you're Singapore. The top 2 Singaporeans will score points in each class. And it's an overall thing. We're not doing it by class. So it matters. This is the overall Nations Cup table with the top 10 from all the 4 classes. And
similarly across the 4 classes, we also have a team championship ongoing. Stratos Motorsport, 62 points alongside Sim Racing Filipinas. It's great to actually give some recognition to those who are putting resources and some money into the sport. We're trying to grow e-racing across the region, and I'm delighted to say later on today we'll see our first ever Russian participant. So great thanks to all of those teams: Team Garu Philippines, Team Uncle, Comrade Gaming, Team Racing Line, 7 Star Garage, Roof Esports. We could not do it without the team support and of course without the racers. And to the racing indeed we go. The copper class, we mentioned Sri Murugan. Now this is a great example of a guy who we've been able to see grow over the first 2 seasons. He was a little bit ragged and a little bit naughty, and Uncle Alex needed to have a word or 2 with Sri not so long ago. Fastest at the moment is Tiago. We are on board here with Sri Murugan. Now Sri is the overall championship leader. There's about 5 minutes worth of practice time still to go. Now with Sri, his fastest lap time at the moment is a 1:30.38. So anything inside the 1:29 is expected to be pretty competitive, I think, today, Alex.
Yeah, so... Yeah, actually, they actually went a bit quicker in the weekly leaderboard. These guys have to qualify in the weekly leaderboard to get into the race. So there's still a bit more time. So I think most of these drivers are just doing the long runs, trying to see how it factors. We have fuel at normal, but we have tire wear at ×2. So quite a few of these boys will be running out of tires towards the end of the race. So they need to try and drive and make sure that the tire wear is really there.
Hey, just so we can get ourselves from Sri gives us a nice little spin. That one's one for the cameras there. Just so we can get used to the circuit, because like you, this is a brand new one for me. Mid-Ohio, I believe we've got a flying lap in an Indy car from Miko Nasi that we can maybe show, just to show how difficult to track it is. It's a different car, worth noting on that, and so the behavior will be a little bit different, but these are the challenges of the Mid-Ohio circuit.
Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'll take you for a lap around here in the Indy car. Just getting a nice wide start to our lap, and we're at the start-finish straight here. And coming up to almost full throttle left-hand corner, maybe on qualifying fuel and these softer alternate tires, it is full throttle. And then we're coming up to hairpin, the keyhole. And super important to get a good exit here for the long back straight. Really patient getting onto the throttle. And you'll notice that's going to be a theme here. Throttle patience. There's lots of elevation change, lots of crests that you have to go through and try to accelerate out of. And just through the kink there, and a really fast right-hand corner coming up here, third gear. Staying close to the left edge. There's no point going right across the track. You don't benefit from it. And then a very tricky series of S's here, where you can easily lose the back end. And lost the apex there a little bit, and another really difficult acceleration zone. Super tough to get enough power down. And a really quick left-hand corner, and we're coming up to the final sector, the carousel here. Almost lost the car. You end up in the pit lane there if you overcook it a bit more than I did. And then we're done with the lap. That's the 2.4 mile Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which has been used since the 1960s. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the race.
Heck, you're not joking. That is one tough lap. Even Miko on his flying lap for us there, and he does a few. He had difficulties holding it together a little bit. What makes it such a difficult course?
It's up and down, and you see, like, you're going over the brow there. You can see Francis Metrillio going over the brow there. So there's like 3 or 4 places, and the back's always stepping out. So in the IndyCar, I found it really difficult to piece a lap together, to be honest. And they all run into each other. So there's like little bits of Nürburgring all over this track. It's incredibly difficult to get right, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of cars off during this race.
Just as a heads up for you, Alistair Young, Alex's son, and Amo Hazik will be in the commentary box for the Copper edition. We'll get them into the chairs pretty soon. Before we go there, Alex, let's have a look at the spotter's guide and the cars that we need to look out for, and maybe the best names to look out for as well.
Okay, so if you look at the top row, those are the top 2 rows really are the championship positions. You can see Sri at the very left, Peter Dutoit in second, and you can see there are teams. So if you guys have set up some teams, so there is a teams in a Nations Cup, and we'll get to those points tomorrow. But you can see some of the cars there, the green cars there in the Stratos Motorsport teams, the blue, red, and white cars in Team Filipinas. Quite a few different teams out there, so you can kind of see what's going out there. A lot of new drivers as well coming into the series. In the other classes, not so much here. Rangy Rover, great name that, from Australia, and David Steinwade, also from Australia. So some new names there, and looking out to seeing how they do. So, Amo, you're now with us. You're going to do the commentary with us as we go along as well. Mm-hmm. And Alistair will join you. As now practice is finished, we are about to go into qualifying.
Yep, and again, we go to one of the great road courses in America, which is Mid-Ohio. It is a very challenging track. In fact, as we saw just now in the flying lap with Miko, the bumpy nature of this circuit is really challenging, even in IndyCar, let alone these cars, the Kias, which have very stiff suspensions to begin with. We're going to see somebody go off big time if they bottom out. So then, we're now live here for qualifying, and this is Peter Dutoit, who last week had a very good time of it in the Copper class at Road America, who's now, he's actually back into the pits. But yeah, he had a win and a fastest lap for a good measure in the second race, but he is only 1 point behind Sri Murugan. He'll be hoping to have a good, strong weekend this one. Alright, so, this is in the commentary box right now is me. I'm Isaac, aka Emo. Right beside me in the commentary box is Alistair Young. Alistair, welcome to the commentary box. How is it like for you to drive around this circuit? Have you driven it before?
Hey Emma, good to be back. Yeah, so I'm actually competing in Gold Class later today in the Indy cars. Yeah, the track's tricky, especially with that turbo in the Indy car. It's very undulating, the rear's constantly out, so you're really driving on the nose. And tyre wear is such a big factor, just because the rear's always sliding. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's 2 or maybe 3 stops in these cars, but in IndyCar you'll see a lot of pit stops as well.
Indeed it
For
will.
sure.
And the fact that there'll be 2 different tires on show with the alternate and primes to choose out for those guys. Well, we're in the copper class. They don't have such luxury. They have to use one same tire for the entire tire compound for the entire race weekend. And so far right now in qualifying, we're seeing Sri Murugan purple in both sectors. Is he going to come across the line and get provision pole? You bet he does. And he's ahead by about a 10th from Zamri. But right now, it's only early days. We haven't seen the best drivers set their light times yet.
Filipinos gone P1.
And it's Francis Metrillio, who's surprisingly on pole last week, who had a bit of a meal of it in the at Road America. He'll be hoping to have a better round this time. Meanwhile, we're looking now back at Francis. He's starting another lap, and we have only a 5-minute session, which is enough to do at least 3 laps if you're lucky to put it in together, or at least 2 laps. Right now, Matrio's on pole. Murugan second. Well, not for long. Peter Dutoit takes pole position, and the crucial 5 points that come with it. He's only about a 10th ahead of Metrio, with Murugan third, Cruz fourth, and another driver who's making his debut this weekend, Steinweed, who is in 5th. Coming through the keyhole now. This is Dutoit on his 2nd lap. Fastest of all so far. We're gonna have to wait and see whether or not this is gonna be another fast one. Here he comes to the first timing beam, coming to one of the notorious sections on the track. It might be called China Beach at the end of the corner, but this is actually just the name of the gravel trap. Through 4, 5, and 6, we've seen many accidents here in the past, and let's hope that's not gonna be the same in the copper class. Up the hill and descent to turn 6, and right through the S's around 7 and 8. It might be called the S's like in Watkins Glen, but it's slightly slower, but the undulation changes might be a thrill for the drivers. Coming in out to turn 9 and into the short chute at Thunder Valley, where they come out into the final sector as Tiago Oliveira claims pole position right now. Through turn 11, we're coming out to their own version of the carousel, as he is now making his way through the last 2 corners. Dutoit then, we can't see the lap times as far as we can see. It's still slower. Coming across the final corner now. What time will it be? It will not be fast, but he will be still settling for 3rd place. He's up to 3rd, and it was personal best in the first 2 sectors. But right now, pole position belongs to Tiago Oliveira.
Yeah, solid lap from Oliveira. I kind of wish we had an onboard of it, but it looks like he's changed his livery for this weekend as well. So I'm wondering if he's running with the team.
As far as we know, I think not, because most of these copper drivers are pretty much new, so they have not signed up for teams. Unless of course we forget that there's the Sim Racing Filipinas, which is a whole organization in itself. But either way, yeah, nice to see whether or not he has an affiliation. Oliveira, of course, last week we have a video of him this time on Zoom again. We saw last week he actually had a shot at the win on his first time of asking, but he dropped it at the final corner. He'll definitely want to make amends for this week.
Yeah, he's quick, but he's new, so mistakes are oftenly seen with these guys. Although it's a 2nd race, so I'm expecting him to put it together now.
Indeed he will. We hope so as well. As now, looking at the times, I don't think he has enough time to complete a lap here, unless he actually crossed the line prior to that within 1 minute and 30 seconds. But either way, he's going for it, and in the first timing split, he's only a 10th off his actually not only his personal best, his overall best. So he's got a lot of time to make up in the next 2 sectors. Through the S's, underneath the Honda Bridge, and now we're coming up to Thunder Valley. So far so good, and he's been proving to be that kind of driver. He just storms in, despite being a complete newbie, to be quite fast. And he is up by about 200s in the 2nd sector. He's purple. This is looking good so far, Alistair.
And yeah, it's looking really good. Just 1 more sector to go. Final proper corner here. A tough traction zone as well because of the undulation. Will he beat his time?
And the answer to that is no.
No, he doesn't go quicker, but it might just be enough for pole.
Pole, and the 5 points go to him. Francis Metrillio second, Peter Dutoit third, Shazru Iman out of nowhere comes out to fourth, and Zatek Rate in fifth. So, 2 of the championship contenders in the top 5 are up there, but this guy in 6 who claims pole.
Yeah, a really close qualifying session. You know, the top 7 were all within a second. So, a track like this, that's pretty incredible, because you get such a big variation as well. It's really hard to put a lap together. So, well done from all the Copper guys. Now let's see the race. I'm expecting a pile up into turn 2. It's a really tough braking zone, and the brakes are going to be cold. Let's see if they remember that.
And the fact that the keyhole has seen some quite argy-bargy racing over the years, and especially in the Indy cars, where we see the likes of, if you go back, well, actually, we were only kids around that time, in 1996, where Greg Moore tried to do an audacious overtaking maneuver, hit the back of another car. Let's see if it happens here, as the red lights are now on. A bit of a hold up here. We still have to wait. There we go. We go green here at Mid-Ohio. It's a good start there from the great Peter Dutoit. He goes through the middle of Metrillio and Oliveira. Does he get the whole shot? No, it's Metrillio who gets the whole shot. And Shazru Iman gets second place. So the drivers who started on the first 2 positions of the grid have now been swamped as drivers further back spin at the first corner. You expect it may happen at turn 2. It happened right in turn 1. As we come now to turn 2, Thiago Oliveira goes on the inside. He retakes second position, but Shazru Iman gets pushed out wide there, and Metrillio, out of all that, takes the lead.
Yeah, good recovery there from Thiago Oliveira. He looks like he bogged down on the start, dropping back to 3rd or even 4th, but he's done well. Now he just has to focus on the rest of the race to get back out ahead.
Now it's a 15-minute race. We can actually get around at least 10 or 11 laps. It is a short sprint, but as they say, the first corner is not where you win the race. You had to get into the rhythm, and so far we've had a few incidents further back, but luckily, as we saw one guy running wide there, so far at least we didn't have anything major right up the front. Through the last sector then, we're on board. We're watching now Sri Murugan, the current championship leader, by just 1 point, but I think because of Dutoit qualifying right in front of him, he's going to lose that position now, but he will be hoping to get in front of him as the race goes on.
Yeah, Morgan in P4 putting up a defense. He needs to focus on the drivers ahead and try and gap the guy behind to try and make it to the podium positions. He's about 1.3 off the leader. Well, let's just see what he can do from there. He's got 10 laps, just like you said, as they finish the first lap now. Oliveira looks quite close. Maybe he'll try and move into the keyhole. What do you think, Emma?
Well, I think he's gonna definitely try for it, because that's only one of the 2 primary overtaking maneuvers on this overtaking spots on this track. The keyhole, and then up to turn 4 and 5. That's about the only places that you can overtake in a car, at least. We haven't seen that sort of moves yet, because we're only at the start of the race. As we see further back someone trying to do a maneuver, and yes, it's Yevon David. He's moved up to 6th ahead of Peter Dutoit. So Peter Dutoit falling further back is looking really. Oh, it's actually Yannick David. Sorry, my bad. Yannick David overtaking up to 6th, with Dutoit now dropped to 7th. So this is looking good for Murugan to reclaim the championship lead, as the leaders are not getting away. Everybody's still within earshot of each other.
Yes, a fellow Stratus driver. Good to see him doing well and not causing crashes on the first lap like last round. Let's see what he can do. You know, youngest on the grid, but he is a good driver.
And he is, just like his brothers. Really good futures ahead of them in real life and virtual reality. Now then, Metrillio just ran a bit wide there. He's overcommitted. Oliveira's right behind him, and so is Shazru Iman. The top 3 are within sight of each other. It could go either way here. Even though it's at the start of the race, we can still see position swap. Right now, Metrillio then, he is the cork in the bottle. Everybody is waiting to see whether or not he's going to make a mistake. Wiggles a bit coming into the carousel. This is their own version of the carousel. So many carousels in North America. As now we complete another lap. On to lap 3. Metrillio still somehow holds on to the lead in front of Oliveira. Oliveira though, looking really racy.
Yeah, Oliveira looks like he's dropping back though. Imran might have a go later on this lap. I don't think he's close enough for turn 2 at the moment. But that top 3 are really streaking away from Morgan down in P4, who's kinda in no man's land at the moment. Although Oliveira down the inside, not close enough.
He had a look of it, and again, you said that the keyhole was an overtaking spot. As we see, Razdan Zamri gets a stop and go penalty for overtaking under yellow. So that's the first for the season. I didn't see last time out at Road America. So that's the first penalty, stop and go penalty of the season for drivers in the Copper class. As now, look at that, Oliveira goes on the inside, coming to turn 4. He has a look at it, a bit of a dink. But no, Metrillio holds firm, late on the brakes, and he holds the line well, still maintains the lead. But Oliveira looking more and more likely to overtake the lead here.
Yeah, he's piling a lot of pressure onto the leader. You know, if he keeps doing this for the rest of the 9-10 laps, unfortunately the leader is eventually going to make a mistake. So he might not get past immediately, but this pressure is really going to help him later on.
Here they go, coming into Thunder Valley now. In fact, Oliveira not only has become a threat to Metrillio, he's being under threat by Shazurima right behind him. So either way, all three drivers have an opportunity for the win here in the first race of 2 in Mid-Ohio. As Murugan now has dropped slightly behind. He's also a Stratos affiliated driver, so that's why he's driving in green, I think, according to James Russell, who actually met the guy and he's raced with him. So then, start of turn 4. Oh, someone spins in the background. Looks like that is Peter Dutoit. So Peter Dutoit lost it on his own as
Olivier on the outside.
Two things happening at one time there, but yes, Oliveira goes around the outside of Metrillio. Metrillio gives them the squeeze coming into turn 3 and out of the keyhole in turn 2 into the turn 3 of the King. That was a gutsy move there from Oliveira. He had the line, but unfortunately he didn't have the drive, and now he has to try again coming to turn 4. Does he have the line this time? Metrillio's on the outside. And he locks up coming into turn 4. No, he doesn't. Metrillio late on the brakes again, and he is very brave to keep the lead to do so.
Great fight between P1 and 2. Yeah, it looks like Metrillio maybe squeezed him out at the keyhole, but Olivier is really pushing him now. He just needs to make the move stick. He's not braking late enough, or he's just not clearing the brake quick enough because he can't get past. He looks like he's alongside enough, but he just can't finish the move.
And we saw a bit of a lockup there coming into turn 4 when he tried the overtaking maneuver. Do you think that he's putting a bit too much lock on the front, as in like more bias at the front, or should he just move it to the rear to get a bit more stability, but he might actually lose it on the brakes anyway? What would you do?
He's got to think about the tires right now. I mean, for me, if I was looking up the front, I'd obviously move the brake bias towards the rear, but I'm not sure how the characteristic of these cars are. They do look like they're very rear happy. So it's a bit touch and go. I think he's just got to take a bit more care on the brake pedal.
Yeah, indeed he will. And the fact that these cars have no ABS, so you can see why they literally lock up when they try to stop the cars. But not that time around. Metrillio then goes very, very wide, coming out to turn 2 out of the keyhole. This is going to be now Oliveira's chance to take the lead coming into turn 4. Through the kick at turn 3, underneath the starting gantry, which starts the IndyCar races, but they start a normal start-finish line. Coming into turn 4 now. Does he have the line this time? Yes, he does. He gets his nose in front, but Metrillio again, brave on the brakes to hold it around the outside. And now he has invited Shaz Liman and Sri Murugan, who are in turn 4th, to the battle for the lead.
Yeah, I don't think he left enough room again on the inside there. It's really close racing, but it's a bit nip and tuck. As Imran now pressuring Oliveira. Look at the top 4, all within a second. Real close racing. This is what you want to see.
Indeed it is. And amazingly, even in the copper class, they managed to keep it clean. Yes, we had a few RG moments here and there. A bit of Dohada. Oh, Shazariman! I just say that the racing was clean? Well, Shazariman just proved me wrong there. He went off right in front of the carousel. But luckily, he managed to keep it together. He's still in 4th. He just only dropped 1 position. He's in 4th. But now he's got all the work to do to catch up back to the guys in front. As meanwhile, we're into lap 6. The guys in front, Metrillio, still holds on amazingly from the lead as Razdan Zamri has been disqualified for ignoring the stop and go penalty, so he might have not seen it. But anyway, we're coming up back to the battle at the front. Oliveira tries his best. He tries a late dink, but no way through just yet.
Oh, Morgan sideways to the keyhole. Yeah, he's dropped back. He's made a big mistake.
Oh my word. So now it's going to be a battle for the first 2 positions. This is going to be a grandstand finish now. Here we go. Oliveira onto the inside. Metrillio on the outside. Does he get the move done this time? He's not going to relent, but this time he does. As he cuts back for the switchback. Oh, a bit of a touch there. Metrillio goes around the outside, and he retakes the lead. But Oliveira pushes him off, and that's going to be a bit naughty from the... That's a bit naughty. That's going to get a bit of an inquiry from the stewards. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not Metrillio will protest that. But he's still right behind him. He could still get the lead back within the last 6 minutes.
Robin's racing, I guess, but yeah, these two have been very, very touchy with each other. It'll be quite interesting to see if there's any student inquiries. But you have to remember, there's still another race, and I'm gonna let you know when we have the reverse grid results, which are hopefully coming soon. But that's also gonna be very interesting around a track like this, where there's barely any overtaking zones.
Whoa. Yeah, and the fact that we're gonna have a random draw thanks to the luck of the dice, whether or not we're gonna get someone in 13th on pole or someone in 16th. So yeah, that's the luck of the draw. But either way, yeah, the overtaking, yeah, it can be done, but it is quite tight, and it's almost like you have to take a bit of a risk to get through, as proven there by Oliveira. Now he's become the chase C, with Metrillio right behind him within just a second. As meanwhile, we now watch the battle for 3rd place. Iman has gotten back in front of Murugan after his slide off, coming through the keyhole, and now Murugan's gonna chase. But for Murugan's sakes, he's gonna look really good for the championship. He's gonna take the lead here, well, in this retake, because in qualifying it was a bit of a shuffle to first, while just a few points ahead of Peter Dutois. Now back to the front, Oliveira looking pretty good. He has been very racy. He was unlucky to not get the win last time out at Road America, where he spun in the first race at the last corner. He's gonna make amends here, but he's gonna have to do it within 5 minutes to hold off Francis Metrillio.
Looking at the fight down for 6th, this is Cruz fighting a Malaysian, Ilyas. So we'll see that. These are top 3 again, and Yannick David, the young Sri Lankan in the Stratos car, leading them and trying to catch Morgan, the championship leader. Everyone seems to be a little bit more spread out now. I think the closest fight is for P1 and 2. So I don't know. 4 minutes left. What do you think's the race? What do you think's gonna happen in the race now, Emma?
Well, Alistair, I think we're gonna see more late-breaking maneuvers in the last few laps. In fact, we had that at Road America. We're gonna definitely have it here. But whether or not Metrillio or Oliveira are gonna collide with each other, they're gonna open up a world of opportunities for the drivers behind. Still, so far, amazingly, despite the bumping and boring through the field, especially at the front, we haven't had any major collisions that are worthy of a penalty yet. And so far, minus the barge, which Oliveira did for the lead against Metrillio, which undoubtedly he's gonna protest later. This racing's been good so far, but it's definitely that's gonna be thrown out the window in the last few laps. As Metrillio now comes out to the inside at turn 4 on Oliveira. Oliveira holds firm. This time, Oliveira's gonna play the guy who's gonna do the late braking maneuvers and shut the door very late. But Metrillio now, he has to put that maneuver that Oliveira did at the back of his mind. He has to get it together in the last few laps if he stands a chance of winning this race. Here comes the battle between the two Filipinos. Janelli Cruz on the inside, Orate on the outside. It's bumping between the two Filipino drivers. They give each other a bit of space, and luckily the respect is there as we are now on board with Sergio Orate. Look at that concentration. He's not minding one bit that he just bars his countryman out of the way. He's not gonna go after Yannick David. If you're in this situation, look at that. This is the concentration. Do you have a blink, Alistair?
I don't know. Unless my eyes are hurting, no. It's kind of funny to see how long you can go without blinking. It's an odd thing, but yeah.
We saw last time out, especially when it was Jim Mesvilton who won the Formula 3 race in the silver class for this edition at Road America. He didn't blink. He went for an entire lap without blinking. So the concentration there is real, even in virtual. And it looks like with the slight collision with his countryman didn't really phase him. He's gonna go after for good points here, as this is about the other battle on the grid throughout the rest of the field. Oliveira and Metrillio are well ahead. Iman and Murugan, they're watching brief in 2nd and 3rd. We're gonna have at least 2 laps to go next time by. Oh, Metrillio goes on the inside. He pushes Oliveira out of the way. He tried to do the same maneuver, but unfortunately Oliveira's already ahead. But he comes back in, coming into the S's. This is good racing between the front two. We've seen really good racing throughout the entire field in all classes, but this one in particular has been a bit more aggressive, but luckily they managed to keep it clean somehow.
Yeah, I think these copper drivers are pretty thankful that the damage is reduced at the moment with all this touching. So yeah, Oliveira pulled a gap again, 3/10, minute to go. What do you think, 2 laps left?
No, this might be the last lap. This might be the last lap because we had a 1 minute 28 second lap in qualifying, and looks like the resolve from Metrillio has finally been broken, because he's dropped back to almost a second here from Oliveira, unless he'll be looking to have the stewards to give him a helping hand. But right now, he's way too far to make any challenges unless Oliveira makes a mistake like he did last time at Road America.
Yeah, he's just got to stay cool, calm, and collected, and he should have this win. It's looking quite good for him. He's just got to make no mistakes. He's got a nice second gap now, so 55 seconds on the clock, last lap. He should be alright. That is if he doesn't spin at the last corner again.
Yep. Now we're looking at the battle for first and second. In fact, third and fourth is also relatively close. There's about 6 tenths between Shazza Rahman and Sri Murugan, the two Malaysians, who are probably going to try to give each other equal amount of respects to not throw away in the competition's other championship, which is the Nations Cup. So they're the top two right now for Malaysia, and they're going to get really good points out of this round, out of this race, and they will go a long way to actually help Malaysia in the Nations Cup. Back to the battle here for fifth. With no doubt that Oliveira is going to get the win here, as we now go back to the man in first place. He has driven so well here in this copper class ever since from the word go, and he made his opportunities count. Yes, he had made a few mistakes last time at Road America where he threw away a possible race win, but it's not going to die him this time. Oliveira then comes across the line and takes win number 1 of the season for him at Mid-Ohio. A lovely victory, even with the rather controversial push. Second is Francis Metrillio, third is Shazza Rahman, and Murugan followed him closely in fourth. No cigar yet for this one, but he extends his championship lead. Fifth is Yannick David, sixth is Junelli Cruz, seventh is Zatrik Orate, eighth is Peter Dutoit. Despite the slight spin, he managed to recover there. Ninth is Mohamed Elias, and 10th is Rangy Rover, the debutant here for the championship.
Yeah, the first one's always the hardest, as I say. Oliveira has that down, so he's looking to be a very strong championship contender now. Let's see what he can do from the back in race 2, though.
Indeed he will.
And I have confirmation the top 15 will be reversed, which means the Indonesian of Julie is going to be on pole.
Right. That's going to be interesting because last time out in the second global edition in Europe, Ronaldo Julie was a bit of a loose cannon, we can safely say. He will definitely try to defend all his heart out right at the front. And looking at the rest of the field, who are going to be starting right behind him, it seems to be it's going to be plain sailing for him because the fast guys are way at the back and he's out in front. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he's going to make it work. But take nothing away from Thiago Oliveira. He might be starting for 15th next time out, but that win will surely take the pressure off him. And in fact, he can easily now get over the fact he lost a possible win last time at Road America. He is now firmly in the championship hunt. As we're now looking at Reynaldo Julie, this is the man who's going to be starting on pole for the second race. As we look now at the provisional results, minus the penalties withstanding, Thiago Oliveira wins by a second from Francis Metrillio. Third is Shazza Rahman. Fourth is Sri Murugan, who was lucky to actually keep it together after losing it at turn 2. Yannick David fifth, another brilliant result for the young Sri Lankan. 6th is Junelli Cruz, 7th is Zatrik Orate, 8th Peter Dutoit, 9th Mohamed Elias, and 10th is Rangy Rover. And that was the top 10. We're gonna have to go now reverse grid.
Yeah, pretty interesting seeing that Peter Dutoit actually had the fastest lap in that last race, and he's starting down in, I think, P6, so we should see a very strong performance from him, seeing as he's so much quicker than the guys ahead. Right,
you're watching ERGP Global Edition, the Copper Edition, here at Mid-Ohio, the full course, and we have seen some good racing so far. A bit of argy-bargy because due to the lag overtaking, but we're going to see even more now because of the reverse grid. We're almost going to go lights out here, as Reynaldo Julie is on pole, and he gets the start away now. The green lights are, the red lights go out, as Reynaldo Julie now takes the lead. Does he get the whole shot? Yes, he does. Kenneth Wong right behind him, tucks the second, and well, I don't know how to pronounce that. KHXN. I think it's probably an abbreviation of an actual name, but either way, Lord Caction is in third, as there's a spin in the background. But never mind that. We now focus on Thiago Oliveira. He's in that mosh pit. Oh, someone spins in the infield. He gets a touch as well. As more and more drivers go off the track, coming into turn 2. But luckily, somehow, everyone managed to stay together.
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't take it full wide into the keyhole, because that does sound like disaster, as you can see. But let's see now. Everyone's starting to spread out, even though they're down into turn 4. I think some people did forget that the brakes were called into T3.
Oh,
and we have more spinners.
just as you said, he's up because the brakes were cold, and there it is. Someone forgot that the brakes were still not warm yet, and he goes way off there. One of the drivers, that looks like Sri Murugan, I think, because he was one of those, he was one of those green cars. As more and more drivers go, Zrati Rate has his mouth wide open right now. He is trying to defend his hard up for 14th, and he needs to make his way up through the field right now because this is a very short race. Oh, is that Metrillio? Yes, it is. No, that's Oliveira. Oh, Oliveira's involved in a crash at Thunder Valley, and that's a big one. That was a massive one. Well, it wasn't as big compared to Road America's incident, but still, more and more drivers go off as one driver is off right at turn 14. This is all kicking off right now, and we're only into the first minute of this race.
I think I can say that Thiago Oliveira has some work to do down in 19th place now. But Peter Dutoit up into P4, he's a second off the leaders and closing in. He's super quick, and he looks like he's already on the tail of the train.
Wow, and look at that. That's gonna put him in prime contention for the championship. But he's got his other championship contender, Sri Murugan, right behind him. Well, actually a position behind him, but either way, the two championship contenders, the men who are leading the way after the 2 rounds, are now in close proximity. This is gonna be good. We're gonna have a big train of drivers, up to 6 at this point, for the battle for the win. As Reynaldo Giulli, as I said it before, he's gonna defend his heart out as someone spins in the background. That looks like Lord Caction. Sorry if I pronounce your in-game name wrong, but he's off now, and that's one less driver for Murugan to worry about. He's up to 5th, while Dutoit is up to the 3rd.
Yeah, Thiago Oliveira, I'm looking at his onboard now. I think he's done. His hands off the wheel, his hands on his head.
Oh.
Yeah, unlucky for the Kiwi.
It could either be terminal damage or he had a penalty that, the incident points really rack up if you have a collision with other drivers. I think it might have been actually he was sent up because of collisions. But either way, after the highs of winning in race 1, he comes crashing back to earth in race 2, and he's not going to get any points, while the drivers who are in front of him in the championship are going to get some points out of it. So he's got a lot of work to do next time out in round 3.
Yeah, that's racing. You can go 0 to hero and hero to 0 real quick, and in a space of two races for the copper class drivers. Dutoit now in P2, looking very strong within 3/10. Let's see what he can do down at turn 4 possibly.
Yep, he's way too far, but then again, he's going to get a better run here because Julie's just gone slightly wide, or he's taking a bit of late apex as we go watch Genetic Cruz with Sri Murugan. Murugan's also up to 3rd. So, this is now going to be a battle between the 2 front championship runners. Who's going to be the bravest to break here between Genetic Cruz and Sri Murugan? Murugan's on the outside, Cruz is on the inside, as Dutoit tries an overtaking maneuver on Julie as well. 2 overtaking maneuvers in the space of 1 corner, but somehow the positions don't change. As Murugan, actually 1 position change, Murugan's dropped 1, and Dutoit didn't get the move done on Julie. So, Julie holds the lead still.
Yeah, and then the Nations Cup looks pretty spicy with the top 5, all different nations. Yeah, they're all close. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's see what they can do. Dutoit is looking very quick, and so is Murugan. I think those 2 are eventually going to be fighting it out for P1 and 2.
Wow, once again, we have mayhem, and it's in the reverse grid races. As that's Cruz going onto the inside of Dutoit. Does he make it? Yes, he does. That is not an orthodox overtaking spot by any means in any category, and he's made the move work. He saw the opportunity as another spin for Lord Kajin. He spins right into the barriers at the start finish line, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on this for the battle for the lead. Julie holds on as the driver is in 2nd all the way to 6th, 7th. Fight for 2nd position. He's going to try to make a beeline for it. Through the keyhole now, as Genetic Cruz has made that move done. He's up to 2nd, and now he's going to try to chase for the lead, which is held by Reynaldo Giulli. Giulli then has been defending well. He did let Peter Dutoit overtake initially, but he cut back right at him, and now he's going to have to do it all again against a field of drivers who look very hungry to get some of their first wins of the season.
Yeah, all of them training now through this undulating twists and turns. Very tough, very hard to follow a car as well as the downforce is taken away, and it's hard enough to get traction around here.
Well, yeah, have you driven these cars before? I'm curious to know actually. I think because they had a competition prior to this, in Malaysia at least, where they drove these cars. Did you drive that one?
I've driven the CR1 once. I think I just tested it for fun with my buddy KJ, who raced last round. I don't think he's here this round, but yeah, they're very floaty on the rear, let's say. So I'm guessing the traction is going to be pretty tricky. I don't think that rear wing really does much, but yeah, they seem to be faring fine. You know, we haven't seen many mistakes from the front runners. Yeah, let's see how they go though.
Well, we saw that. We saw an incident there because Junelli Cruz has now taken the lead, and Ronaldo Giuli, I think because he got hit there by one of the green cars, it could either be Murugan. Yeah, it was Murugan. So, from the lead, he's now dropped to 4th. He's going to have it all to do in the last 8 minutes. Junelli Cruz leads the Filipino 1-2 with Francis Metrillio. Wow, Metrillio, who was right up there at the front in the first race. He's going to take the lead here coming into turn 4. Does his countryman let him through? Yes, he does. It almost looks easy, but he defends around the outside. Metrillio does go into first place. So Cruz drops to second, but it's a Filipino 1-2. They'll be settling for that. Now, for the Nations Cup, this is looking good for the Filipinos after Malaysia took a really good advantage coming into this race with a 3-4.
Yeah, phenomenal move around the outside. Let's see. Morgan is closing in, as I can see on the lap times. He seems to be going a bit quicker, even though last lap was slower. But you can visually see the gap is closing. Even with the two Filipinos fighting ahead, you can assume that Morgan, Julie, and Dutoit will be on the backs of them soon.
Ooh, looks like Dutoit lost it a bit. Oh, is he up the inside? Yes, he is. So he's moved up to 4th. And that's another overtaking done at the most unusual spot, because you don't really overtake at a carousel unless that guy in front of you gives you enough space. And he made the opportunity move. Now, made the opportunity work. Now he's up to 4th, behind Murugan, who's in 3rd. The championship leaders are now going to fight for the win. As we now look at 9th place, Yanni Riven, you go really wide there into the first corner. We had a bit of a directive from race stewards prior to the race that you can use that particular bit of the pit lane coming at the exit for qualifying, but you can't do it in the race. So far, a lot of drivers have complied to that, and we saw that just now. They might have actually not been given the opportunity to go into the pit lane for the first corner by volition, but they can go even wider coming out of the first corner.
Yeah, indeed. Now the top 3 really close now. All within a second. All within 5/10 actually, which is incredible. You can almost put a blanket over them. Metrillio really is putting up a beautiful defense. And Morgan's really closing the gap. I would hate to be Cruz in this situation.
You're like in the meat in the proverbial sandwich, as we might say. Yeah, because you got a guy chasing you and you're trying to chase in front. You'd rather be at the back where you can watch this and wait for them to make a mistake. Or you could be in the front and you just scamper away, which is exactly what Metrillio is doing now. After overtaking Junelli Cruz, he has built up a slight gap. Oh, that was Dutoit trying to do the same move he did on Ronaldo Giuli last time out, and he nearly made it work, but the door was firmly shut with Murugan just claiming the apex before Dutoit could do anything about it. And that was a really gutsy move. You really have to come in quite late, and you will hope that the space was still open there. Luckily, they just only collided a bit. There will only be 4 incident points. It will just accumulate, but it's not enough to send him out of the race just yet.
Yeah, championship leader, you need to be careful, you know. The most important thing is to stay in the fight. The last thing you want is to be like Oliveira, crash, have no points, and be at the very back. You know, that's how you win championships. It's not about coming first every time. It's just being there and creating maximum points with minimal damage.
Indeed.
As he goes down the inside of Cruz. Doesn't quite make the move work, as he's around the outside now.
Well, Cruz tries it. Cruz tried to defend, but Murugan, again, he has the inside line, and he takes second place just momentarily, but Cruz giving it all he got to defend second place for Murugan. In fact, I think he's doing this for his fellow countrymen, because the Philippines will have a really good shot at taking the lead in the Nations Cup, in Copper class at least, because they're both having a good, strong race. 1-2 right now, with Murugan the only Malaysian up in 3rd. As Shazriman, who was in 5th in race 1, he's in 6th as now. Oh, Murugan tries to cut a bit of the inside there. He tried to do the maneuver that Dutoit did the previous lap, but unfortunately, the door was fully shut, and he's still 3rd. So, right now, there's not much overtaking space here, but if you do make it work, you have to really, really be gutsy about it, as Dutoit tries to overtake maneuver at the first corner.
Yeah, it looked like Morgan ran a bit wide, but he's got to try and remain calm as Dutois now down his inside. Not close enough. Maybe a bit of lag there, but yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a light collision, but you can see the intent. Dutois had have a whiff of the inside, but unfortunately, Murugan also firmly had the line. So they touched, but somehow they're still in the race. They didn't spin out like what happened to most people if they were in that kind of collision in that kind of space.
Yeah, Morgan needs to not get flushed is what I was trying to say. He's gonna be a bit annoyed that Cruz was defending so hard and he couldn't get past. He's gonna start overdriving. He's really gotta try and step back and just be calm and reclose the gap to Cruz and not worry about Dutois that much, because it's very hard to overtake in the second and third sector. That's where he pulls the gap. So that first sector, okay, he's defended. Now he's got to get his head down for sector 2 and sector 3 and try and close that gap to the Filipino ahead.
Although unfortunately for him, the other Filipino who's way ahead, he's pulled a 2.5 second gap with just less than 3 minutes left to go. Francis Metrillio, who was denied a win in the first race, will now be looking to have a second, to have a very good win. Sorry, will look to have a win the second race out. As now, Janelli Cruz, the other Filipino, he's holding firm in second, and Murugan and Dutois will probably be sick of seeing the rear end of that car by now.
Yeah, I'm guessing they'd be hating this livery already. But he's closed up again, as I'll say. Morgan's now 4/10 off Cruz, and Dutois fell back a bit. He's rounding about 6/10 off Morgan. Now Slipstream Fest into turn 3. Maybe if we could get a camera angle ahead.
Oh, we might have to look at whether or not Shazrima's gonna do a move on Renault Julie, but whatever it is, next time out will be the final lap, and it has been a really good race for Francis Metrillio. Yes, he had a really good ding-dong battle in the first race that he was unfortunately denied the win, but now he's gonna get the win second time out, as the battle really now behind him is for second, and Janelli Cruz has been holding on to these two drivers right behind him as Peter Dutois goes on to the inside, coming into the
he's gotta leave the space.
And oh, that is almost predictable. Shri Murugan, it's not this time, it's not Shri Murugan's fault. He just happened to leave the door open slightly, and Dutois was really gutsy to try to go on the inside, and that move didn't pay off. He's now moved out to third, but I think that's gonna inquire the wrath of the stewards.
Yeah, that's self-inflicted. That didn't need to happen. He just had to leave a bit more space. It was Dutois' corner. This is what I was saying about staying calm and just, it's damage limitation when you're leading the championship, you know? You've got to stay focused. It's one position. It's not going to matter after 6 rounds of racing. Now he's got a bigger job from P9 with 1 lap to go, from P8 with 1 lap to go. It's hard to see him scoring any major points today.
Well, he's got to get points here, but yeah, in terms of the championship, Dutois might take the lead, but we still have to wait whether or not the stewards will look into that and give the penalties to either one of them. But either way, a penalty for either one of them will be detrimental to their championship chances early on. Luckily, the drop scores will count, but they will probably feel that they've been robbed here, either one of them, if a penalty was given. But no such troubles for the guy in front. Francis Metrillio, who has been so good to actually just hold the lead and scamper away when he needed to, when the other drivers started squabbling, and he's done so. He didn't have to fight his way hard like in the first race, where he was in second, denied a win by Tiago Lovera, who's out in this particular race. There's nobody right in front of him to deny him this time, as he comes through Thunder Valley up to the carousel for the last time. The clock now strikes to 0. This is the final lap, confirmed, and he comes around the final corner here. Francis Metrillio takes his first win of the ERGP Cup Edition, and in Mid-Ohio, he celebrates. That's a win for Francis Metrillio. Second would be Janelli Cruz. Third is Shadri Manenda. What happened to Peter Dutois?
What happened to Peter Dutois? Has he...
Did he go out?
Has he DNF'd? Has he not put in enough fuel?
Oh, he's DNF! And it's almost like a bit of karma. Peter Dutois, who was running in third, is out of the race. So Shri Murugan would not have to protest him after all. So, that's a turn for the books. Shri Murugan now will be extending his championship lead, finishing in 7th. What could have been 3rd, yes, but he's gonna get the points nonetheless. Yeah. Reynaldo Julie, who was knocked out by Shri Murugan at the final corner a few laps ago, is now up to 3rd. He would have been thankful to have get the win, but nonetheless, third place is a good return for him. Fourth is Shaz Rehman, fifth is Yannick David, sixth is Arjuna Santa, seventh we mentioned it, Murugan, eighth Mohamed Elias, ninth is Steinwade, and 10th is Kenneth Wong. So that is a dramatic final lap. We didn't expect that to happen. We thought everybody just settled in.
Yeah, we didn't even clock Detroit disappearing off the time boards. I can see Yannick celebrating. It's his best finish of the season so far. But going back to Metrillio, the race winner, a very mature drive. You know, he capitalized on the opportunity when the back two started squabbling. He pulled the gap, he minimized mistakes, and that's how you win races. So great job by him, good drive. Let's see how he'll do next round.
Yep, and in the championship complications, nothing to it for at least Sri Murugan. He's extended championship lead. Ginelli Cruz, though, second place as well. He will probably be loving it that he just didn't have to do much. He just let the other drivers do the punching for him. As fast as lap also goes to Francis Metrillio by a tenth ahead of Shaz Rehman. So here are the results for race 2. Race winner Metrillio, Cruz, Ginelli, Reynolds, Julie, Iman, David, Santa, Murugan, Elias, Steinway, and Wong. That's the top 10.
Yeah, and Metrillio, again, capitalizing, fastest lap, so that's another couple points. You know, he was quicker by almost 8 tenths, actually, from anyone in the field, which is a really mega job, so well done to him again. Murugan's got work to do next round, and so does Oliveira. He's going to be quite annoyed with that finish of race 2, being out in the first couple laps.
And sad also for the Dutoit brothers. Look at that, 17th and 21st.
Good racing, huh, Emma?
Yeah. To be honest, I was almost expecting a lot more mayhem between these guys, but luckily, the mayhem only started at the start. The real action came between the drivers when they are going to battle for especially the points and the win. So, to see the drivers put up a show like that, it's going to whet a lot of people's appetites for the upcoming categories.
Yeah, we got 3 more categories today, so this is going to be a very exciting day, especially with a track like Mid-Ohio. We've seen it in Copper, you'll see it for the next 3. Stay tuned and enjoy.